In the last video, we talked about the pros and cons for having the meter regeneration. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. But welcome to the second episode of this series, and this series is called The Things That I Hate in Mortal Kombat 11 That I Don't Want Returning in Mortal Kombat 12. This second episode will be about breakaways. If you want an episode 3 talking about the Fatal Blow mechanic, give this video a like and subscribe for more videos like this on the channel. Air Escape. After mentioning the meter regeneration, Air Escape, or I should say, Breakaway, is another addition to the game where this mechanic made the game worse, and I think we can all agree. But let me try to answer why this system was added in the first place. To know that, we must visit Injustice 2 where it was first introduced. Injustice 2 is a very different game because of the different mechanics. For example, if you want to block in this game, it follows traditional fighting game mechanics where you have to hold back to block. This immediately changes the way the game is played because you have to put yourself at risk when walking forward or going for the offensive. Another mechanic is that all characters offer a trait ability. For example, Batman gets access to mini-bats, which allows him to control them for his pressure or mix-up. Think of this system kinda like a variation system but on a smaller scale, because each character gets a special attack that affects the way you play. But you're not allowed to change this, of course. Looking at this game's meter system, you get 4 bars total, and to gain meter, you either have to take damage in or have your attacks blocked. And you can use it for things like combos, class system, air escape, and supers. The same system that was used in the past Mortal Kombat games. The class system, by the way, is new and works pretty much the same as the old breaker system. However, you do have to wager your meter. Those who wager more wins and can receive health and damage dealt to the opponent. If it's a tie, nothing happens. It was a fun mechanic in my opinion. Air Escape worked pretty well in Injustice 2 because there were 2 choices you can go with. Moving up when trying to escape, or move away. Those worked as intended because they changed your positioning. This, however, can be punished if you use the wrong one against their combo. That is why you're given the class system if you really want to escape from your opponent's combos. Which is nice, and it's a good balance between a quick recovery and a full recovery. So to answer the question I mentioned earlier, Air Escape was added to MK11 because it worked for Injustice 2. But the only reason why it worked is because they didn't have the meter regeneration and they had 2 options available to escape an opponent's attack. While in MK11, we only have the breakaway system to work with. We have no choice but to rely on this unbalanced mechanic. But now let's take a look at Mortal Kombat 11's Air Escape. This is now called Breakaway, and can possibly be executed when you're in a juggle state. This requires you to use 2 defensive meters. And that's right, you heard correctly. I said possibly, because here is problem number 1. You can only use Air Escape when the game lets you. What I mean by this is that you will have to know what time during your opponent's combo you are able to break away. In the game's tutorial, it says after Scarlet's 3rd hit. That's when you are in the air and begins to fall downwards. And that is the only moment you can try to use Breakaway. This tells me you have to take damage in first and wait to get launched for you to escape the combo. If you're a new player, then finding all characters' air escape moments will be difficult to notice. Most are obvious, but there will be times where you think that should have worked. Honestly, this is a complete downgrade from the previous breaker system because in that system, you can escape at any point of their attacks. Keep in mind this is the only option you can use to escape from your opponent's combos. Injustice 2 had a similar system to this, and you can use the clash system to really escape and not put your health at risk. Problem number 2, it favors certain characters on the roster. This game has introduced a new system called unbreakable combos, where certain variations or characters are allowed to keep the opponent grounded and continue to deal damage. This just means this mechanic favors those characters with those kind of combos. Let's take a look at a couple of characters. Johnny Cage normally has his nut punch launcher to juggle, but in his unstoppable variation, will keep you grounded for him to do more damage. Another character is Jackie. She has a variation that really allows her to deal more damage and allows her to pressure the hell out of you more, which is another reason why she is currently the best character in the game. These scenarios shouldn't exist in a fighting game, but I think the reason why they didn't add a traditional breaker system was because they wanted this unbreakable combo variation system to work. Otherwise, it would have made these useless. Problem number 3. Overall, it's just a terrible escape option. Let me explain. The whole point of having a system like Breakaway is to escape from your opponent's combo and be at a neutral state. But the moment you use it, you drop straight down, leaving you at the same position. You will now have to guess the next thing your opponent might do when you get back up. For spending 2 bars, you shouldn't have to be in an unfavorable position. Tell me how that will work out when you're in the corner. Yeah, this mechanic is already not designed very well. Problem number 4. This can be exploited to punish your opponents instead. This can really turn people away from playing this game because it can feel unfair at times. For example, let's say you're this Scorpion player. You will want to do your standard combo damage and your normal combo ender. However, your opponent can use Breakaway to escape just for him to get back up during your recovery and punish you by doing your combo. This happens across the whole roster sadly, especially if you're a character that has dial-in strings, meaning you have attacks with far more recovery. Like Katana, they are at a severe disadvantage at times because your opponent can get up before you finish recovering from your combo starter. Another example is a character like Melina. Melina is already one of the worst characters in the game because she lacks certain tools, but this system completely destroys the little potential she had. She has a ball roll special move which should work as a combo juggle, but if you were to break away at the right time, you will cause her to be in a much longer recovery, giving you time to get back up and punish her instead. Lastly, problem number 5 is that Breakaway is not a guaranteed defensive mechanic. There are times when Breakaway is not allowed to be used because a fatal blow can break through it. Or armor breakers, which is an attack that every character gets at least one and can also break through. So even if you want to escape, the game has ways to punish you. This in itself has its own issues because it's poorly balanced. Not every character has a viable armor breaker, or some armor breakers are locked in one variation while some characters get 3 armor breakers and so on. We are just talking about how unreliable the Breakaway system is as a defensive escape mechanic. In my opinion, there are just too many things going on and options that just makes the game feel exhausting to watch out for. Now, some of these problems are not that big of an issue because there are workarounds. However, this just shows how many problems this mechanic has. Some of them are just too big of an inconvenience to have when playing fighting games. You want a fair mechanic that does not favor others. If they had the traditional breaker system as an option, it wouldn't be that bad. Let me know about your thoughts about breakaways in Mortal Kombat 11. Did you guys like it, or hate it, or can you tolerate it? Give this video a like and subscribe for more because in episode 3, we'll talk about the Fatal Blow system. This is Mad Dog Games, your fighting game sensei signing off. I'll see you guys next time.